Would like to switch to something completely different.
Miniature golf. No? Okay. I thought we're still talking real estate, right? All right, just in case. I thought we were going to go way out of line here. Yeah.
Still there. MLS right now is struggling in a way with Zillow and with CoStar, your traditional real estate company, your brokerage that has traditional values. And it's all kind of like confusing right now. And the agents are lost and they don't even understand what their traditional brokerage will look like in another few years. They don't understand how Zillow and CoStar will affect their business and their commission structure and everything else. Can we talk about that?
Sure. It might be a short answer I give you on some of these things, but what particularly in and around that, what would you like to know?
Well, let's start with traditional brokerage.
Okay.
What do you expect in another year or so? Will it be more mergers, acquisitions? Will agents be more independent, trying to work for smaller brokerage with higher commission splits? Will they have, will they be willing to have splits as 25-75, but the brokerage takes care of them from A to Z? How do you, what's your opinion on that? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but just your opinion.
I don't have that crystal ball, and you just said my opinion on it. So I will tell you as someone, anybody watching this right now can attest, my opinion's worth what you pay for it, nothing. So I will preface this by telling you, I don't really worry about CoStar, Zillow, all those things that disrupt them. Like that stuff that's not the thing that I worry about when it comes to agents, their success, their growth within the industry. I do worry about lawsuits. The DOJ suing NAR right now is a major problem that I don't think enough people are paying attention to. Mm-hmm. I do think that there's 3 separate class action lawsuits across the country happening with, again, NAR and other major brokerages that are problems that agents need to be paying attention to. Zillow, CoStar, those folks will be reactive and they will react and pivot to whatever's happening in that other landscape. But the truth of the matter is right now, real estate is like 10 to 15 years behind, and it has always been, current things that are happening. And it's a very slow moving ship. And I do think that the true disruption that's going to happen is going to come from those lawsuits. Because when you change buyer agency, when you change whether sellers are paying out commission for buyers, when you change certain aspects of how the MLS operates and whether listings can be private exclusives or coming soons or all the different things that happen with that. When you have national sweeping change at that level, that is a huge shift in how agents are going to operate. And that is the quickest, fastest turn that's going to happen. So I look at it as, what can agents be doing now that no matter what happens over there down the road, the impact is not really that great? Mm-hmm. Right? What are those things? And I hate to go back to like relationships again, but the reality of it is an agent that has a strong network of people that they support, continuously engage with, mm-hmm. and that they really have built strong, healthy relationships with, whether the model changes, whether the brokerage function changes, whether agents become employees or like whatever crazy thing is coming down the pipe and possibly, it still goes back to that same fundamental functional process, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter the structure and the path. It only matters in how you're going to walk it, because you've set yourself up in a way that insulates you from all the noise that goes on around that. So I don't know what's going to happen down the road, but I do feel that there's a window of opportunity right now that if agents aren't really getting serious about how they root themselves more mm-hmm. in insulating themselves in the connections that they have, it's going to create a bigger problem, because the more fractured something becomes, mm-hmm. the harder it is to hold on to people's attention. We live in a very, very instant gratification world, right? And social right. media and all these different pieces and parts of stuff. So I think that trust, again, is going to be a key component in how we move forward through a lot of this stuff.
And you mentioned real estate industry is at least 15 years behind. I'm sure that it's our fault that our industry, that we are so much involved in as full-time living through every day. Why are we 15 years behind?
Because it was built that way, right? I mean, think about it. The real estate industry itself on the whole, in a transaction, there's like 5-6 different people involved in that transaction. The brokerage, the agent, the inspector, the mortgage, the title. There's like all these different people.
The lawyer.
The lawyer, right? All those people want to keep their piece of it really complicated, right? Because if you simplified it and made it really easy, guess what you don't need anymore? Them. So if you keep every one of those components relatively complicated, and then you add in state regulation, and of course the town needs to get their little cut from that, and then you've got federal regulation. It's an incredibly complex process. And the interesting part to me is when you look at all those difficult levels of complexity, it should be even more so that an agent is like, wow, do you need me now more than ever? Because with every passing change that comes, whether it be from lawsuits or whether it be from changes in how people are engaging with technology, all the more reason that an agent should say, I am that Sherpa. I'm the person who's going to help you navigate through these different processes, right? And I don't know that we are always so adept to recognizing or feeling like what our role is can be less than what we think we have to make it. There's an element of the intensity that I see sometimes around agents of I have to convince, right? I have to demonstrate that you absolutely need me. Sometimes you just don't, right? I look back at, if you think of most of the relationships that we have in our life and the people that we've stayed friends with or we've stayed connected with the longest, many times I think that comes from our ability to open up and humanize ourselves to those people. That's what makes that last the longest. And so that fear of change, and we've talked about change, you and I, in the past, that fear of change it's very limiting. It's very, very limiting because it stops someone from being able to be reflective, self-reflective, and look and say, what is my function and role in this? And do I need to consistently feel like I have to add more into that than really needs to be there? Because all this other stuff is going to come and go. But most people at their fundamental nature want to be heard, understood, appreciated, loved. It's a basic function. Very simple thing, right? And we add all these levels of complexity into it.